Who you gonna call? Coon Busters, Angry Black Men's Book Club with Let's Talk 2. I want to reach out and say hello to everyone on the night of the 3rd of December, 2023. I am Dr. Randy Short from the Angry Black Men's Book Club, and we're having a special report in particular on our sorry, pathetic hip hop misleadership generation. I'm here with Brother Dome, aka Q, from the Let's Talk 2, and our topic is hip hop, the wages of sin. We need to talk about the degeneracy that's been unleashed on our people through the music industry and through the culture. It's disgusting, it's pathetic, and thank God international events are playing out and national events are playing out that the long nightmare of P. Diddy and other degenerates who are in the media that have been made. Many of these people are Caribbean, first or second or third generation, that have been the Pied Pipers of black degeneracy and self genocide, are now being thrown off the train. I'm very thankful for the law in New York that's allowed people to come forward. In particular, I'm very happy about all the men who are coming forward. Why did you mute me? I'm very happy about all the men that have come forward to talk about P. Diddy. In particular, shout out to Columbus Short. Hey, cuz, I know we're related, although you're from Kansas City. Shout out to you. This insanity has to stop. Don't mind double entendre. Don't mind a little nastiness. But dirty red, all of this, whatever. There's nothing sexy about that nasty wretch. It's ratchet, it's ugly, and it's a setup for us to be killed as a people. Under the guise of entertainment, people need to understand something. What were Jews doing in Germany prior to the rise of Hitler? What were Jews doing? What did Jews dominate in Germany just about the time that Hitler came to power? What were many secular German Jews involved in during the time at the rise of Hitler? I'm not blaming anybody, I'm not justifying anything, I'm just saying if you dare look up Magnus Hirschfeld, if you dare look into Weimar Republic in Germany, if you dare to look at the culture, if you dare to research what was Berlin in the 1920s and 1930s, if you dare to look, don't go in to judge any people, but just look. If you do your research, do your own research, judge nobody, but who are some of the key personalities pushing the envelope that would act against the conservatism of the German Catholic Church, the conservatism of the German Calvinistic tradition or the Lutheran tradition. Look at who is doing it. Don't blame me. Just look. Because in this culture, at this given time, anybody that says anything in any way critical or even observing something that's a historical fact gets called an anti-Semite. If we say that there are 20,000 or more dead and injured people in Gaza, people may see that as an attack on Jewry. If you're concerned about babies getting killed, that could be seen as anti-Semitic. The same sort of twisted morality that makes a male able to be a female and compete in women's sports is akin to the same morality that says killing babies is healthcare is akin to the same morality of killing babies, is fighting for peace and justice. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not taking sides. I'm not blaming any group collectively. I'm only saying that these things are happening, and some of the same parties seem to come up on the list over and over again. I have nothing to do with the fact that the two wars that our country is wrapped up in that have this whole world at a threat of World War III, the Ukraine and the state of Israel, have Jewish heads of state. Don't blame me. I didn't do anything. I didn't vote for anyone. I'm not against people voting for whoever their leaders are. I'm only saying that the head of state of there are only two nations in the world where the actual elected or whatever selected of head of state is Jewish, and the kind of warfare that's going on has us on the brink of global warfare. That's not me picking on anyone. That's not me attacking or calling. It hasn't Putin mentioned nuclear warfare? I mean, not us. I have no nuclear devices. I have no army. I have no state that I control. I don't control media. And unfortunately, I do know how to read and write. The same sorts of people who dominate the world of arts and entertainment in this country are not dissimilar to the people who dominated art and entertainment prior to the rise of the Nazis in Germany. I'm not saying people shouldn't dominate arts and entertainment. I'm only saying that when people did dominate arts and entertainment, people pushed the envelope. People did all kinds of things that pushed the envelope on the conservative values of the majority of the people. And for a period of time, all the trends were shaped to suit a particular group of people and their, how can I say, their sense, well, let me just say it. Fuck Jesus, fuck Christianity, fuck your values. We do whatever we want to. The Amy Schumer thing, let me just say this. I'm not telling anyone what's funny or what isn't, but I assure you, if anybody took the Kabbalah or the Midrash or the Tanakh or any Jewish holy book and put it in the toilet as a comedy sketch, oh my God. However, let a comedian, I won't say what ethnic group, take a Bible or a picture that supposedly represents Jesus, even though he's not white, and put it in the toilet. It's funny. It's cool. If one makes a pornographic movie that makes fun of Mary or Jesus or anything that's perhaps sacred to Christians or Catholics or even Muslims, it's fair game. Even mentioning the ethnicity of a person that's busted for a crime, what their ethnic group is seen as hatred and bigotry. But if you or I commit a crime, or they announce what you are, who you are, what group you're in. When someone else does it, it's not discussed, it's glossed over. Just saying. What are some of the things that offended the German people in the 1930s? Pornography, I'm not going to say who dominated porn in Germany. You go research it. If you research who dominates porn in the United States, uh, go looking. I'm not saying you're not going to get my channel taken for mentioning that there's certain people who thrive in areas that violate conservative values of people. If you research who's pushing for atheism or who attacks prayer in school, religious music in school, just if you start looking over and over and over and over and over again, you might find a demographic pattern who's pushing Satanism, transgenderism, radical lesbian feminism, drug legalization, you name it. If it's some kind of restraint or something that counters the values of the larger society, who's pushing the envelope to violate them? I'm not saying go look. Look for yourselves. I'm not going to say that. No one's going to accuse me of discriminating against anyone. You're going to have to start reading and thinking and looking for yourselves. And my suggestion to everyone from henceforward, when you see a news report, for example, financial crimes, always check the surname. All you need to do is go to Google and look up surname origin. Don't blame me. Do not hate me for what you find. Do not blame me if you find a pattern to certain sorts of crimes. Do not blame me. Do not accuse me of picking on anyone if you find a consistent pattern. If you find when there are issues of sexual harassment, particularly in the world of media and entertainment, look at who it is. Now look at who doesn't get convicted, or with great effort are they convicted if they commit sexual offenses in arts, entertainment, or news. Start looking at who. If you look, human parts, human organ harvesting, just look. Just go in and say organ harvesting stories, news, and Google. And look at the surnames of persons who've been caught trafficking in body parts. I'm not saying who, that's your responsibility. I want you to look and form your own conclusion. Uh, if you start to look at who's pushing all the radical sexuality ordinances, where did it start? In which community? And who were the advocates? I dare you to look, form your own conclusions, and then let's bring it to our community. Where did the gangster rap come from? The queer rap come from? Where did all of this start? Who's financing it? Who made P. Diddy? Who are behind these people? Who does the distribution? If you dare to look, in fact, for all of you Afrocentric, fake ass Egyptian people All of you that say this whole Christian thing is bullshit, you have to ask yourself, why is it when certain religious groups have hundreds, if not thousands, of offenders that have raped thousands of children, their sexual scandals are never reported more than once or twice in the national media? However, I assure you, I assure you, I assure you, if you take the time to look, you're going to find a pattern. Don't blame me for the pattern. I can assure you, if you look, there's a particular nation in the world. All you have to do, no matter how many people you molest in America, if you get to that country, there's no extradition, no punishment. You live as a free citizen no matter how many children you've raped. You'll have to find that country for yourself, no matter how many victims. And it's not really in the papers that much. If it's a Catholic church, you'll hear. If it's a Protestant church, you'll hear. If it's the Jehovah's Witnesses, if it's the Mormons. But some people, no matter how many children get molested, no matter how many people get raped, no matter how much, silence. There was a show, remember? Hi, I'm Chris Hansen. Take a seat. Remember that show, To Catch a Predator? Does anyone know why To Catch a Predator got canceled? As popular as it was, I love that show. Do you guys know why? Do you know why To Catch a Predator got removed from television? It wasn't because there were advertisers. It wasn't because people didn't watch. It wasn't because these people who preyed on children didn't deserve to be exposed. Let me say this one time, and I have my word, which isn't a put down. A GCP who was caught trying to molest children from the Philadelphia area, probably from Montgomery County. A lot of GCPs live in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, committed suicide. This particular GCP, that stands for God's chosen people or God's chosen person, committed suicide to hide the fact that they wanted to rape and abuse children. And when they got caught, they killed themselves. And that GCP was from a very wealthy family. So that GCP's family sued, and that's why Chris Hansen's career was cut short, because he exposed a baby rapist that was a GCP. And GCPs were offended. I sit down and think about this. A community that rallies behind a person that rapes children because it's in their group. Not a group that says, hey, I hate the molestation of children. As I speak to you, the judge, Igaran, the one that's bothering Trump, has pictures of his mostly naked body that he sent to boys. If you ever start looking at case after case of people that have molested children, you're going to find a strong number, disproportionate in certain ethnic groups, not limited to one or the other. And you know what? It's interesting. There's not the same sort of punishment for pedophilia. In fact, sometimes certain judges almost don't do anything when someone molests children. Do you ever wonder why? Have you ever done any analysis of who are the judges in this country? Which, I'm just saying, check. Don't blame me at what you find. Don't blame me. And that same moral rot is taking place in the world of hip hop. Who introduced drugs to Billie Holiday? No comment. I'm not saying. And I'm not saying nothing. I'm only saying to you, I have a very dear friend, Brother Bert, and his, I think, uncle played with Miles Davis. And the story he shared with me, this is long before hip hop. These guys were going to get a nice record deal in the 1950s, and they were invited to a party. And on the party, they had a huge mound of dope with needles and everything there for the black artist. And they had to use drugs and get high in order to get the contract. I want you to know that those were not black record executives. Highly unlikely not Anglo executives. Okay, I'm not accusing anyone. I'm simply saying there's a long, long, long history of black musicians, artists, and everybody else, many of them, not all, getting ripped off and cheated by an unsaid demographic who stole from Sam Cooke, who probably organized a hit on Sam Cooke. How did the Shirelles get ripped off, and whose record label were they recording for? Who is Slutsky? Who are these people that have ripped off all the black doo-wop groups? Just saying, ask, look around, don't blame me. Who was ripping off James Brown when he started out? Again, don't blame me. Who ripped off Little Richard? And I can go on and on. Who ripped off Billie Holiday? who ripped off Tupac? Who's behind the people that ripped off Tupac? No, I'm asking people to simply begin to think. And I'm saying this to you. Hold on. Let me just say this. Because I don't hate anybody. This is not a hate thing. Let me emphasize who I am. And it won't help, but I'm going to say it because if folks come out and try to say some bullshit, one, I come from genetically wise the Tikir people who are Semitic people from the Sudan who moved to Cameroon. So I'm a straight up Semite and also Hausa Semite and also people from Senegal Semite. And I'm just saying to you so you're very clear. My ancestry that comes from Iraq, that comes from ancient Palestine, that's just my damn DNA. I am an effing Semite. I'm of the Cherokee people who have Semitic DNA. I am a goddamn Semite. And among my family names, Cohen, Sellers, Vilker, Davis, Robinson, even Short. They're Ashkenazi and Sephardic names, some of them. Deal with it, bastards. So I don't want anybody to hate any specific group of people because if you hate them, you might want to get me too. However, whatever the hell I am, if I'm a BGCP, a black God's chosen person, I'm a good one. Like a black American's the kind that tells the truth. A black GCP tells the truth. I hate bullshit. I hate racism. I hate filth and discrimination. Okay? So let's be very real about this. I want everybody to understand this. So let's now talk about what's at hand. I'm going to let you field the questions, Mr. Showhost, because we're here to deal with dirty ass black people who are in service of other people that are bringing us down. And I want to say, in honor of my beloved C. Dolores Tucker, who I had the honor 30 years or more ago to volunteer for many times. To mean, if I walked in the room, Mrs. Tucker would greet me because she loved me and I loved her back. Mrs. Tucker was destroyed by the gangster rap filthy mafia, and don't blame me. I didn't attack Miss C. Dolores Tucker. Miss C. Dolores Tucker didn't hate anybody. C. Dolores Tucker said, I don't want them to make black people come off so vile and so nasty that it would be a justification to erase and get rid of us and kill us. And she was damn sure right, and it's happening. And the people at Dog Pound and Time Warner and everywhere else in the business went after one black woman that didn't want black people destroyed. They lied, they bribed, they got young black people who were impressionable to act against this black woman who was a great person, who I love dearly, to destroy the movement, to keep our music as representing the best in us. We've always had nasty music, but we never had it like this sexy red shit. We never had this blip, Zeppelin looking Lizzo bitch. We didn't have people, even Don Cornelius, no matter how many dicks he did or didn't suck, you didn't see Don Cornelius's faggotry on display like what P. Diddy's been doing. There was a sense of boundaries and going too far. When Billie Holiday shot dope, she would wear stuff over her arms so you wouldn't see track marks. Not that she wasn't, everybody knew that bitch was getting high, but you don't flaunt your addiction. Now this thing, it's all out. Eat a nigga's ass. Or that guy, Fly Red, the little trashy dude from Texas that was throw that boy pussy and talk about eating bowel movement like it's M&Ms that Lil Wayne produced. This is nasty. It used to be the white heavy metal Satan worship. Now the filthiest stuff out here looks like us, and a lot of times these are tethers. They're not even us. It's filth. It's vile. It's satanic. And hell is too good for a whole bunch of people that call themselves entertainers. Let me tell you something. For all of you that don't like oldies, those folks could out-sing, could out-dance, could out-dress, could outdo all this shit out here now. As much as boomers are fuck-ups in terms of civil rights and shit, they had the music. The old niggas, the old broke-down, crippled, depleted niggas living in the past, they had music right. I don't care what you say about old-ass geriatric niggas in wheelchairs. They could sing, they could dress, they were presentable. This shit now, Generation Z, fuck all of y'all. Y'all are trash. Generation X, y'all are fucked up too. My generation is fucked up. And millennials, y'all fucked up. The boomers, as phony as their wannabe white asses were, had some class. Even as they were sucking shit out of the white man's ass, they had a class. At least they had a suit on. we just we're just really fucked up right now. And it's killing us. Now, why am I bitching? Look, first and foremost, I'm not trying to pull a penis out of your throat if you're a man, or out of your rectum if you're a man. I'm not trying to pull a woman's pubic hair out of your jaws, sister. I'm not trying to keep you from munching carpet. And if you have carpet burn on your tongue, it's your problem. If you contracted a syphilis from a sex toy, sisters, that's your issue, or vaginosis, the STD of choice of carpet munching holes out here. But alongside this nasty, filthy, violence-inducing culture, we have an HIV/AIDS epidemic that stretches from Texas to DC. And the fruit, the wages of this hip hop shit that we're addicted to, made for people who hate us to kill us with. Not unlike the vaccine that a lot of your stupid asses took. It's going to begin to kill because they're now gonorrheas that can't be treated, that can kill you in a week. There's strains of AIDS that can't be treated. Do you realize I was late coming on the call, speaking to a friend whose brother, who was one of those Negroes who hate passport brothers, who fucked an African nurse. Yes, I said it. And that bitch had a fungus in her pussy that's eating up his body. And that shit is so strong, I don't know if they fed it palm oil or fufu or something, but that shit, they don't know what the hell to do with the fungus he got up that African pussy, man. I'm just telling you, if that's what they have back in Africa, stay your ass here. Can barely handle STDs that you can get here. That bitch had some gorilla fungus in her pussy. And you know, they had that song they used to sing in church, something got a hold of me. Something got a hold of me. Oh, yes, it did. It's something. Somebody, that dude has a fungus that's eating him alive. It came out of an African woman's pussy. And so even the old ass niggas living in this virtual hip hop reality world, who are screwing the nurses and orderly in the senior places. In fact, old boomer niggas are some of the nastiest people. By the way, they're reliable sex customers. You know, when you're a quadriplegic, you can still get a blowjob if you've got an SSI check or a crazy check. Crazy check sex people really pay. So if you're out there, you don't just have to do fans only. You can like work a senior center. You know that they're going to get a check and they will pay. In fact, you can do home deliveries, right? You can bob a whole lot of apples in some of these assisted living places. And there are a whole lot of people that can't wait to work with old people because they pay. In fact, old broads who take their dentures off give like the best blowjobs I heard, and they'll give you some home cooked meals. I mean, but with all of that promiscuity comes all these STDs. There's an epidemic of STDs among black people who are seniors in these assisted living places. Sometimes 60, 70% of those folks are infected from fucking the young people in there. The hip hop generation, their gift to us is rates of STDs each year that are greater than the year before. You know, there's a song they sing in church, every day with Jesus is sweeter than the day before. Well, every day with hip hop is more infected than the day before. And there's some people that I really can't stand. P. Diddy, I've never liked you. I despised you in the 80s. I despise you now. I stood next to you. I couldn't even speak to you. You're so vile and filthy. Plus, you're a trop. That's my slur for Caribbeans. A lot of these trops are no damn good. Hmm? Yeah, it's not. He wasn't Howard Buddy, but they used to throw parties at Howard. These people from New York would all come down to DC, throw parties, and sell dope. Yes, they did. Yes, the hell they did. I can't give a damn. They came down and generated chaos and confusion to the point where, let me just tell you something. When I was a student at Howard, it was so bad that the people from the community would go around looking for people from New York to kick their asses. So they would surround a group of people. Everybody else can leave. We just want to beat the asses of the New Yorkers. I mean, it was like Nazi Germany. Are you from New York? You sure? And people say, I'm from New York. Where you from? I'm from New York. Beat his ass. They would beat everybody's ass they could from New York. If you're from Jersey, man, Philly, we love Philly. But if you're from New York, they would beat your ass because the New Yorkers were always in bullshit, stealing, lying, selling drugs, coming up with fake religious shit, all kinds of stuff. They're just scammy, dirty. I'm not saying all New Yorkers, but too many, especially if they came from Brooklyn or Manhattan. I don't know what the hell is going on, but the New Yorkers brought a degenerate flair with them. I mean, so let me tell you, and it was interesting. Let's say this. I'm gonna like piss off. The New Yorkers brought in. See, Howard had gay people. The New York people brought a thug gay thing. I'm not getting my dick sucked because I go to the gym and I can fight. So my faggotry is good. But if you're one of those academic niggas with glasses on, getting straight A's, no, you a faggot. But if a nigga sucks my dick because I can fight, it's different. Sort of like what we see in what I call dick hop. Shitty. Shitty and them have brought dick hop to the fore. And all they've done is promote degeneracy and nastiness. And it's ugly. And I'm so glad. In fact, let me tell you the most wonderful thing with that law, because all of us knew like a week or so when that bitch came out talking about Diddy. And as a woman saying she was harassed, we went, yawn. It's sort of like when the woman came and said that Diddy harassed her, that's like getting a scratch off lottery ticket and you get like $2. Yeah, you won something. See, so it's a scratch off card. You got $20, you get a little happy. Yeah. But when the nigga came forward, that was like getting Powerball, because that's the real shit. Let's get to it. Ain't no woman fine enough. Ain't no woman sexy enough. Ain't no bitch hot enough to keep me from running after news. I remember the day Clive gave me a fee. I said all the boys can suck on me. From that day on, I made a vow. I would pervert the black race somehow. Cause ain't no woman fine enough. Ain't no woman cute enough. Ain't no woman pretty enough to make me not fuck dudes. That's the song he needs to sing. Fuck you, Diddy. All of y'all degenerates and African Bambasa, you're not shit. I knew you weren't shit. When the first time I saw you in that Unity video with James Brown, and you had that Vesper church mother missionary hat on, although the shit had an ankh instead of a Christian cross, I walked out. I couldn't even. I hated your ass first sight. And Zulus, by the way, since we go to Zulu Nation, that shit could be cold. Let me help y'all out. What do a lot of Zulus do? I'm glad you asked. A lot of Zulus worked for what? They worked in the mines in South Africa. You know anything about mining culture in South Africa? You know anything about a faggot named Cecil Rhodes who set up the mining system where the men 11 months out of the year are locked up from women for 11 months? Did y'all know that about South Africa? That these Zulu men and other men that were South African, if they got jobs in the mines, you couldn't see a woman for 11 months as you worked in the mines? Did you? Zulu Nation. Mhm. I'm not saying anything about Zulu people in Africa per se. I'm talking about a mining system wherein black men were not allowed to be around women for 11 months of the year. And they deliberately set up what were called drinking centers to keep the men drunk and pacified. And there was a culture of rape, molestation, and homosexuality that was intrinsic to the South African mining dormitory system, Zulu Nation. Sometimes people are telling you what the hell they're about. In fact, my question to y'all, what's the oldest pedophile dating network in the world? Don't say the Catholic Church. Do you give up? What is, or should I say, an international pedophile dating network that's not religious? Oh, we're dull tonight. Oh, God help me. Culture clinician, my email is wrandyshort at gmail.com. You know, if you have a question to ask me, my email is all over the fucking place. You don't have to ask me personal questions during a show because my email is out. It's all over the place. If someone wanted to write me, you can. Um, I can't address this stuff about interviews and booking and all that while I'm doing an interview. I mean, it's kind of it's like it's not the right time. Why not email me directly? wrandyshort at gmail.com. It's all over the place. You could Google. It's not like I'm famous, but I'm not hard to find. Just email me. There's no reason. I put it up constantly. It's everywhere. If someone wanted to email me, they could. Um, so let's do better than that. And I always wish that I could write or communicate with people I want to talk to. If I saw I had their email, I would write them. I don't think I would take the time to ask them something like that while they're doing an interview. It may not seem like a bad idea, but it is. You know, brother, I always call you, right, brother Q? I always write you and I would never do it during the show. I would think that you're busy. You're too busy trying to juggle stuff. And I'm not thinking about that. And now wouldn't be a good time to try to get me to commit to anything. The most intelligent thing people can do is write people. Have y'all given up? So y'all don't know the largest international dating service. Exactly. Why? Time. The name tells you you're scouting for boys. It's a fucking giveaway. I distrusted that shit when I was like 6, 7 years old. God damn, I says I can't do this stuff. See, the Cub Scouts is a foreplay. That seems kind of nice. The mothers of the den mothers and shit. They use the mothers to recruit the mothers that might get you in. So it's okay because your mom and your aunt, they're den mothers. And then once you groomed up, dick's a little bigger, pubic hair is growing in, then they pass you off to the men that are like, right? And then you get to be an eagle. It should be a bend over scout. And they get you out in the woods and the tent and shit. Oh, hell no. I remember going to an Eagle Scout ceremony back in 51 years ago. And I watched these pot-bellied white dudes with shorts on salivating over an Eagle Scout, and that shit creeped me. I had to leave the room. I couldn't handle it. I saw what was going on. All these men were getting turned on. Who's going to be able to screw this Eagle Scout? I says, damn, do people not see this shit? I'm a kid and I can see these people want to fuck this kid. I mean, he was older than me. It's like, that was it. I got done with the Boy Scouts in 1972. It's like, God save me from this shit. I never asked my mother about scouting. And to see the white dude with the pot belly, with the shorts on, with the hairy legs, just gleaming at this dude, and they would all this white pedophile worship of this kid. It's like, wow, this is nasty. I can't do this. God help me. Mm-mm. So anyway, let's get on with this. We just had to get. It's a subculture. Hmm. 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 I'm sorry. Forgive me. Hmm. And think about what tunnel would mean. What is going on with this? Hmm. So what are you saying now? Because people have to. I'm sorry, one of my cables stopped working. I don't know what that's about, but in reality, the situation that we're looking at is that we have right now a very ugly situation. The situation that we have is our people have been targeted to be put down, to be dogged, to be misrepresented. Okay, and that's what's happening to us at the hands of other people who can't stand us. And let me change this lighting one more time. Pardon me, this bright light's kicking my eyes and ass. Yeah, so let's just do this. Some of us remember hip hop. Hip hop wasn't always as infamous as it is and as it's become. We know it got hijacked. We know going back to Operation Mockingbird and Bluebeam that our intelligence agencies, going back to the Creole Commission in World War One and subsequent things that are done, that the United States military and other groups are involved in the entertainment business. We also know that the CIA used black jazz celebrities to promote drug abuse among black people starting in the late 1940s. That is a fact. This has continued. And so the music has been used, the arts have been used to destroy black people systematically. And anybody black that tries to really break independent or have their own money, Prince, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, James Brown. If you look at what happened to Mr. Avant's wife killed in Los Angeles, how Barry Gordy and them had to flee Detroit, Michigan, because they were going to be killed by the mob. If you look at what happened to Stax Records and so forth, if you look at how there were efforts to bother Michael Jackson, to bother Tupac, to bother Jimi Hendrix, to bother black artists and musicians, whether it's Paul Robeson or Billie Holiday. There's been a concerted, even for that matter, Mahalia Jackson, Harry Belafonte. There's been a historic assault against black artists and entertainers, especially if they said or did anything for black people. That's actors like Canada Lee. The FBI was after Hattie McDaniel, the bitch is a maid. These people, and what the Italian socialist named Antonio Gramsci, who came up with the whole concept of hegemony or hegemonia, hegemonia, which is complete cultural control over people to dominate them. This is happening to us. And so this hip hop that we take so much pride in, I want to say to you, the length of time that's been around is fucking unnatural. Why am I going to say that? Let me just give you guys an example, listeners. How many of you would argue that Gladys Knight is great? How many of you would argue that the OJs were great? How many of you would agree that Aretha Franklin was great? Would agree that Stevie Wonder is great? Would agree that Patti LaBelle is great? Would agree that a range of people who've been in the business for decades can deliver the goods, can still sing, Anita Baker. And have you noticed that the dignified black artists and entertainers can't get a fucking hit to save their lives, but the sorriest, most pathetic, degenerate people get all the pushing and plugging? Do you understand that there was a thing called the payola scandal in the early 1960s, where they were mad because black DJs and artists and other people were getting money, and they were mad about the pennies that these people were getting. And so Congress came in and went after DJs and record and radio stations and so forth. And what ended up happening as early as 1960-61, the playlist of the records that got played were determined not by what the people wanted to hear, but by what white corporate station owners and other people decided people would hear. I repeat, you hear what white folk want you to hear. I can't hear you. You need to bring your sound up. Bring your sound up some more. I still don't hear you. I still don't hear you clearly. Bring, not still. I need more. You had it, and then all of a sudden the sound went to hell. So it's very low. So I won't be able to respond to you if I can't hear you. I still don't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm sitting right here. I didn't change anything. Yeah, they can hear you, but if you're asking me, it doesn't matter, does it? I can't hear you. Sorry. Uh, Barely. I'm having the strain. What did you do with your sound? Yeah, you did, because I can't hear you. Do you want me to leave and come back and try it again? Okay, guys. I have to come back in and see him. And forgive me, you know what? The bright fluorescent lights were screwing with my eyes, so I needed to put my shades on to give my eyes a break. And because my eyes, it was just hurting, so I had to come back in. No, it's still very low, so I've come all the way back in and done what I need to do. So it's not me. Well, the volume went down. I don't know. Can't you pull it up? Something. I don't know how to make your sound more. Let me see. Let me try something. Okay, speak again. I hear you now. Okay. So you were saying, yes, perfectly. Yeah, look up the payola scandal, and you'll see that just at the point that black folks began to get hits and break out and be able to get maybe a teeny piece of the pie, and they changed the rules of the game and put it in the hands of. See, there was a music business in 1950, 1955. And when black folks started hitting hard, and when white imitators of black music started hitting hard, that went from being a music business to a music industry. There was a hip hop business when hip hop started, and then it became a hip hop industry. When it becomes an industry is when white folks hijack it with capital, buy out everything, and they pervert it. They did the same thing with rhythm and blues. They did the same thing with jazz. Every time we make something, initially we're making money off of, we're getting by, and they come in with larger coffers and with greater numbers of coons who will sell out, and they buy up everything and pervert it. There was a music business, and then there was a music industry. A good example, Motown was initially a business. Within the first year or so, they pulled $1 million between 59 and 60. What's the song? Shop Around, a million selling, made $1 million. Within 4 years, Motown was making equivalent, 5 years making equivalent of like almost $150 million a year. At that point, Motown was the biggest black corporation in the world. Many of you don't know this. The biggest black business in America, $150 million, and that money is like 600-700 million now. That's real good ass money if you're in the record business now. If you knew how bad the record industry is doing, Big Titty Dolly Parton has a #1 album in America with less than 200,000 sold in a week. Do you know that when the Supremes and the Temptations did their album in 1968, it sold 1 million in 1 week? And they'll tell you that album only went to #2. See how racist it is? So imagine 50 years ago, someone sold 1 million units in a week, was only good enough to get to #2. And 50 some odd years later, less than 200,000 goes to #1. And you find the music business is full of manipulation and it's full of fraud. But the industry, when you bring in high finance, that's when you start talking about the other people, the GCPs and others. I'm just saying. P. Diddy is under GCP. And who's a GCP? Clive Davis, a bisexual degenerate who has done a lot with the music business, who may have had Whitney Houston and Phyllis Hyman bumped off, who's in control of Jennifer Hudson. Hip hop, by the way, these days, as it promotes violence and degeneracy and drugs and hatred and misogyny and sodomy and so forth, we've never had music do this much damage to us. Our music has been weaponized against us. And now, let's get to the good part. Shitty, as I like to call him, and others are now no longer useful because now the new future of music will be things like K-pop, where Koreans and others imitate the good old days of black music from the 70s and 80s and early 90s, and even sometimes the 60s. Anybody but us, because they don't want to share. Negroes have gotten smart enough to negotiate contracts, and get rich. And the same way, the minute that black folks got into unions and could get paid, they started deindustrializing because it was never about black people making any money. This system is set up to steal, rob, and destroy us. And the minute black folks start getting a piece of the pie, the minute that black folks start generating resources for themselves, there's the immediate reaction to divest from it. In the past, if you didn't like the prosperity of black people, you just went in and killed them. East St. Louis, Wilmington, North Carolina, Black Wall Street, and other such communities. Just burn it all up. Just get Rosewood and just kill everybody and take it. Now the economic warfare and the psychological warfare has changed. By the way, is hip hop really new, people? Actually not. In order to denigrate and justify the lynching, murder, and mass incarceration of black people following the Civil War, white folks hijacked black music and came up with what was called the first hip hop, cool music. Music that celebrated black promiscuity, black drug abuse, black drunkenness, black violence, black criminality, black stupidity, black incompetence. Cool music basically was music to lynch black people by. The same way dick hop is music to exterminate black people by. And in a sense, my friends, the people who hate our guts have accomplished what they wanted. They perverted us and destroyed us morally. When you destroy people spiritually, it's very easy to get them physically. And yes, I'm going to put in a big, yes, I'm a Bible believing Christian. If your dumbasses aren't, well, hell's too good for you. The hip hop people have pushed all kinds of stupid religious stuff. That Tribe Called Quest, they're pushing all this esoteric bullshit. Well, I want to know who was operating the Underground Railroad. I want to know who all the revolutionaries against black slavery were. How many of them were following Egyptology and all this stupid ass African spirituality. And I want to say to all you fuck niggas out there, I'm not mad at Africa. I love Africa. Okay, unlike many of you, I spent $200,000 of my money to learn about Africa in my PhD program. Okay, so I put my motherfucking money on learning about Africa. So for all little niggas who've never been to Africa, little cheap fuckers, read a book or two or see Dr. Umar or have watched Hidden Colors or some shit like that and watched a couple videos, you don't know shit. You haven't been to Africa. And if you go to the popular tourist areas. Why not take your ass to Chad? Why not take your ass to Goma in the Congo? Why not take your ass to Dodoma or go to go off the beat and really learn some shit about Africa outside the big westernized cities? Stay in a real African community. Eat the real shit. Get diarrhea from drinking the water that they drink, like my ass did. A lot of these people talk about Africa haven't fucking been there, or they go to the safe place. They go to Ghana and they stay in the white hotels. They go to Egypt. They go to the white part of Egypt, the Turkish part, where there are very few dark-skinned Egyptians. In fact, that's why I think they like Egypt, because the people aren't that dark, because we're some South Haven fuckers. We don't go to Tanzania. We don't go to Malawi. We don't go to Zimbabwe. We don't go to Swaziland. We don't go to Botswana. We don't go to Angola. We don't go to the places that are not cool and pasteurized and westernized enough. Because in reality, you don't want to get malaria in the East Delta of Nigeria like my ass did. One fucking mosquito bit me within 20 minutes. My ass almost passed out. The real Africa. The Africa where there's no toilet paper. The Africa where the fucking power goes off. The Africa where there's not running water. The Africa where the schools don't have lights and they don't have books. The Africa where everything turns to mud. The Africa where there are people with guns that collect bribes for your ass to move around. The Africa where people get kidnapped, the Africa where they consider kids witches and they're fucking and throwing kids out in the streets. The real ass Africa, not this storybook bullshit that these niggas go around these lecture tours talking about. They're full of shit, they're full of lies. Am I saying all Africans are broke? No. But are there places in Africa where people take a shit out their window? It's called Lagos, Nigeria. Huge parts of the people in the lagoon who don't have a toilet, you just go and take a bowel movement out the window. You piss out the window. Oh, yes, the hell you do. I'm sick and tired of people lying like people in Africa hungry. Oh, there are no gays in Africa. Bullshit. You don't think that the tourists go and fuck the people in Africa? Oh, yeah, they do. Certain people live for the white folks who come through there. Why do you think they're passing laws and shit? Because all these people realize, you know what? I can get $10 a day if I suck a white dick, if not 100. Damn, I can't. In 100 days, I can suck one white dick and get more money than I can in 3 months. Shit, bring them on. And the white hoes pay more. And these motherfuckers be getting visas and shit to fly all over the world and drop African donkey dick on people in China and everywhere else. Real ass talk. Fuck all the Pan-Africanist people that won't tell the truth about this. It's bullshit. And AIDS in Africa does not come exclusively from heterosexuality. There are lots of people in Africa sucking dick and getting fucked in the ass. I don't like it. I'm not advocating it. But we were told in Africa, AIDS is different. Well, it's interesting. We supposedly African Americans, how come most of the AIDS comes from people getting fucked in the ass, but in our motherland, it comes from fucking people in the pussy? Because niggas want bragging rights. There's no homosexuality in Africa. How the fuck is there no homosexuality in Africa if the Greeks conquered the bitch? Alexander, the fucking faggot great, took over Egypt. If you really think that they weren't dicking down the people in the shadow of the Sphinx, you don't know nothing about the Greeks. And by the way, since everybody wants to make the Greeks, as they said, descendants of the Egyptians, well, when did they start being queer? When they ceased to call themselves Egyptians and to celebrate we're not African anymore. No. Hell, I'd like some shit on my chest to celebrate not being African. I'd like some shit on my chest too. Forgive me. These dumb fuck Afrocentric people make me sick. They lie about Egyptian culture. They lie as if in Egypt there was no degeneracy. They lie as if in African pagan cultures that they don't have queer gods and goddesses. They lie when they don't tell you that an initiation for these African voodoo or voodoo or witch doctors, that part of your initiation is you got to be a drag queen for a couple of weeks. Y'all didn't know that? And you had to wear women's clothes and dress up like a woman and shit. That's your real fucking African culture that the white people took from you. But if you were back in Africa and you want to be initiated into the priesthood, you could spend a few months dressed up like RuPaul and Billy Porter, being true to your African culture and your African dignity. Dumb fuck niggas. Twin spirit shit. And by the way, P. Diddy and all of them love that shit. Unks everywhere. Do you really think that the priests in Egypt, who provide the basis, as do the Babylonians, for what became the Roman Catholic Church, did you know it comes from Egypt and ancient Babylon? What do you think the Babylonians did? And so all these people running after their true African roots. Hell, some of that shit's deviant. The fact that they sold so many fuckers, and let's just talk about this. I get a whole bunch of niggas and lock them up in a castle for a couple months till the shit comes in. You mean to tell me nothing happened? Everybody was just living for Jesus who they didn't know until the slave ship came along. If P. Diddy is raping all or messing over all these boys and men, what do you think happened in the slave castles? What do you think happened? Do you think buck breaking started once they got off the ships in the Americas, or did they buck break them over in Africa too? Do you really think a person that would buck break someone in Hispaniola wouldn't buck break them over in Calabar? If you're a sodomite and you wanted yours fresh off the hoof, why would you wait until they did the journey? Have you ever considered that the folks on the slave ships were deviants? Do you really think if there weren't women on the ship and you wanted some meat that you wouldn't rape some of the boys? We're talking about men who face criminal charges if they're a substitute teacher or a public school teacher that are molesting kids all over the country. Now, with the laws on the books, what happened when the people chattel property? What do you think? And by the way, do you think that the Africans that would murder whole villages would stop white men, or for that matter, hostile African men, from sodomizing, if not killing, enemies in other groups? Are you guys familiar in pagan warfare? That was a big part. Whether it's the Turks or other people, when you would conquer people, you would rape the women, the girls, and the boys, and sometimes screw them in. And don't you recognize that in reality, hip hop is a new way of mentally sodomizing black people and perverting us? How did the white people get Hawaii? They expanded the sodomite culture in the Hawaiians and brought in alcohol. And of course, the pirates and salesmen have been screwing all the Hawaiians, and you know, and we'll do anything for white meat. My God, they're like my cat that won't eat the dark meat on the chicken, but they love the breast of chicken. We know we have a white meat fetish as a people, and we're willing to die for white meat. And that's been our history, and it's been part of our downfall. And Diddy probably has a weakness for white meat. We can ask Clive one day. Now let's do questions. Come on, dog. I'm just trying to keep it interesting.
Anybody got any questions for Dr. Short?
Come on, y'all. But look, the diseases, criminality, black self-respect at an all-time low, obesity celebrated, deviancy celebrated, everybody stealing, lying, backstabbing, drugs are cool, folks thinking smoking dope all day is the way that we made it. I'm keeping it real being a cannabis addict. This is the fruit. This is the fruit. Go ahead.
Somebody asked, is Diddy Black American? I don't know if Diddy is Black
I,
American.
I no, I think Diddy is the Caribbean, first or second generation. When you start talking about New York, a lot of those folks,
I
it's
know.
almost it's. I'm sorry, you up in Jersey, you know what I'm saying. It's a whole different culture in Jersey versus New York, especially when you get to Crooklyn and
I
Harlem, and
know
it's
that.
all that
So,
damn blending and stuff. It's like that
his
that
father, his
congressman.
father, everybody that knows Harlem knows his father. Bloodsport said his father's from Harlem. So,
For
anybody,
Harlem doesn't mean anything. Who's been in Harlem? All kinds of people been in Harlem for a long time.
that
Look,
when you say you think he's part FBA,
well,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what, I mean, with all due respect, I don't even know.
see, this is what I'm going to say. I've noticed we do have degenerate Black Americans, but some of the nastiest, most pathetic people that perform as Black people are often first generation foreigners. Grace Jones is a good example, and you see this time and time again. People advancing the craziest shit as blacks are often not from here. Not saying we don't have our ratchet people because we do, but we get an added supplement. See, I couldn't go down to Jamaica and say, we're going to have a gay pride parade because they'd fucking kill me. But they can come up here and do that and then say, American blacks are all body men, right? and yet won't admit that the Jamaicans and Caribbeans and Africans are all getting visas coming to the United States. One of the ways that you get to move to the United States, Canada, Europe, and Africa and the Caribbean is by claiming that you're persecuted because of your sexuality. You get on the fast track. Oh yes, Dick
Yeah, I
Lick,
know a lot of,
Dick
lot of us.
Dick Lickers get a fast track to come over here. Yes, they do. Yes, they do, and they come over here and they're the loudest screaming voices over gay. Black Americans haven't oppressed gay people. Try to have a gay march in Jamaica. Try to have a drag queen story out in Jamaica. Try it. Try it. I dare you. See how fast they don't kill you. I'm not advocating hurting anyone, but I'm offended that they have such little respect for us, things that they would never do in the bonded motherland that they come from, that they're so proud of, that makes them superior to us with the British education. When they come amongst us, promote a lot of deviance and act as if they're us, all the while those blacks aren't shit, they're dirty, they're lazy. And then you promote degeneracy. Damn, what the fuck is that? And I don't care if P. Diddy is FBA, he pushed Biggie, and Biggie definitely ain't us. In fact, I call him Piggy Small, black greasy ass.
So you guys got any questions for Dr. Short in regard to what we're talking about? Ask Dr. Short. One of the things that, and you know, I'm never gonna, I can't give Sukihana an excuse, but one of the things that Sukihana said during the interview, which I thought was interesting, and this just goes to show how they don't care about you in that industry. She said that she has a history of sexual abuse. If that's the case, she has enough money and enough people around her for her to get the help that she needs. It's really unfortunate that this type of music is going to continue to be promoted. Everybody says, "Oh, Sukihana, Sexy Red is a plant."
She is a plant. Look,
If they're a plant, why listen to them?
yeah, but it's well because
Not you, Dr. Show, but I'm just saying in general. People
they
listen to
listen to it because let's be honest. What Dick Hop has done is normalize degeneracy unlike anything since the slave trade. It's now brought a level of enslavement to depravity and degeneracy in our people that is so filthy and so nasty and vile. Only something like a new AIDS plague that wipes out sectors of our community and allow us to start afresh. That's what we're facing. When I'm talking about this new AIDS crisis from Texas to DC. And anybody that remembers the 80s and the 90s, and I don't hate anybody, and unlike other folks, I didn't run from people that I knew who had AIDS. I either like you or I don't like you. Okay? Whatever your problem is, sexuality is, I either like you or I don't like you. I'm not going to say, oh, you suck dick, I hate you. I will say, you suck dick, let's not use the same fork. Let's not use the same spoon. In fact, I got some styrofoam shit. Let's use that. Praise the Lord. Right? But we're headed, this is done on purpose to break people down. And that's what they're doing with hip hop. And they've used foreigners. There's a black writer by the name of Harold Cruz who talked about how the Caribbeans have been used, going back to Marcus Garvey's time, to manipulate and bamboozle black people. And we're stupid. And most people know we're dumb as fuck. Black Americans are pretty fucked up, stupid people. Because everything for us is what it looks like instead of what it is. There are brown people all over the fucking earth. A good example is there were brown people before white people came here, which means everybody didn't come here in a slave ship. And yet you have dumb fuck niggas who are determined to make everybody come here on a slave ship, and Africa's your damn home. I'm not saying I don't have African ancestry, but I'm saying to you, my great 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 grandmother, Sonia, was an Indian from southeast Tennessee. Our tribe's still there. I that's who the fuck I am. I'm not taking away from Africa. I got that too, right? I got Moorish in my family. Why? My grandfather, born in 1792, it says that he's black. But I can show you my family tree and you'll see everybody in his family is from England. Everybody. How did he get black? Other than they were black when they got here. So I have European black, indigenous Aboriginal American black, and I have the African plantain fufu eating nigga too. I'm rejecting no one, but I'm sick and tired of the scan Africanists who are spearheaded by niggas from overpopulated economic backwater islands that nobody's had need of since the sugar trade went out from the 1831 uh, revolution riots that took place in the British Caribbean. For them who don't have anywhere to go and nothing to do, always talking about going to Africa. And their asses don't go to Africa. They go where? They come to America and they go to Britain to compete with existing black populations that they don't unite with. In fact, hate and look down on the very people that they should be able to have common cause with, and they elect not to.
Someone asked Dr. Short, uh, what is your, what's your opinion on the demonic part of this?
It's real simple. Um, if this music, like soul music and some of the other things, in any way were uplifting and edifying of our people, they wouldn't let it last for 50 years. Soul music basically comes in 64, and by say 72, it's gone. They didn't give it a whole 10 years. That shit had to go. They didn't like what it did. It gave people some, I'm talking about secular shit made you feel good, made you feel good about being black. They got rid of it. Are y'all feeling me? So let's talk about Luciferianism. Let's just do this real fast. If it isn't promoting family, decency, self respect, solidarity, self reliance, then it's evil.
Hold on, Dr. Short. Got a couple more questions coming in. Somebody asked about Bayard Rustin. Was he a CIA informant? And he was the eyes and ears right now, Dr. King.
By it Rustin in a, there's a brother, I think we're supposed to get a call back. The man's name is Mr. Ralph Pointer. He's a long term activist in New York. He's a husband to Lynn Stewart, the attorney that would represent all the black folks who stood up to the police and so forth. Byatt Rustin was known for being a person with a conflicted agenda. We know that the CIA followed him in India. They knew about all his crazy sex with the Indians. They knew about him. They have a big dossier. It should be printed. I don't think they, in fact, that's something that should be published, but a lot of folks want to defend him. What I want to say about Rustin is if he isn't an FBI agent or CIA asset, he certainly was an enemy of black power. He was an enemy of black nationalism. He's an enemy of us working just amongst ourselves. That's enough for me to say that he's problematic. And I think that you could have had a major march on Washington without him. There was a very effective organizer who does not get any recognition that was removed from the march. And his name is Jack Odell. His son is a friend of mine that lives in New York. Most of you need to look up Jack Odell. Jack Odell is one of the greatest strategists, but he was a communist. from the state of Michigan. He lived to be, I think, just about 100 years old. He was a phenomenal man. I think he died in 2019. A phenomenal man, but he was communist. And Dr. King, they say that Dr. King fired Rustin. It's not true. Dr. King fired Jack Odell. So the sodomite that had sex with two or three men in a car in Pasadena in 1953 was kept. And the man who liked pussy, who was a communist, got dissed. It's a lie that Dr. King and them were homophobic. In fact, it's rumored that Ralph Abernathy was a pedophile. Dr. King and them were not persecuting gay people. Dr. King had an affair with Clara Ward, who was a stud. It's a lie that, I mean, this is just so ridiculous. This shit makes me sick. Look, we always had people in our midst that were sexually compromised because slavery and segregation and things like chain gangs, where you lock up dozens of black men for years at a time with no access to women. One of the main things that killed people in the chain gangs was syphilis, and I don't think they got it just from their white prison guards. We need to start being honest of what being marginalized and controlled by people puts people, whether you put them in mass incarceration, promotes the moral and sexual degeneracy of a people. That's part of why it's done. Bayard Rustin was compromised. Bayard Rustin did two things I can't forgive. Bayard Rustin, one, was against black people having armed self defense, which is insane. And two, you were against us having a strong moral, ethical belief in God that says you can't be deviant like Bayard Rustin. That's one of the few things that you have, the spiritual power, and you may not have overwhelming force to be offensive, but you should have some ability to defend yourself. He strikes you down spiritually and physically. Fuck Bayard Rustin, or as I say, Gayard Rustin, Gaytard Rustin.
I'm gonna get to the rest of these questions. Um, Someone asked you, Dr. Short, and before you answer, I'm gonna say something about the origin of the country. Um, Before Dr. Short gives his answer, I just want to say that most of the people that watch this channel watch Brother Dewan's channel. Brother Dewan, in my opinion, for a younger man, is one of the he's a historian when it comes to music.
Yes, he is.
Brother Dewan knows, for lack of a better word, you guys, Brother Dewan knows what the fuck I'm talking about. So I would really, really, when it comes to music, you guys can really cut into Brother Dewan, get that information out because he knows what he's talking about when it comes to music and family. And just he knows what he's talking about. Brother Dewan, I'm gonna just give you guys an example. You can hear a musician and tell what region of the country that person is from by the music. So just know that, a lot of the music questions, Dr. Short says it's normally in its own way. When we talk about music history, we always want to give Brother Dewan his flowers, definitely, because he is
We don't want to give him flowers. We need to. He's not female. What we got to give him something else. We'll give him a beer or something, right? Don't give him flowers, man. We can't. No, I don't want anybody thinking they would say Dr. Short's talking about giving you flowers. Had to call and cuss me out. Hell no, I didn't say nothing about flowers to one. I didn't say a damn thing about no flowers. Give the flowers to your wife. Give him a gift card. Let's give Dewan a gift card. Don't give no flowers and shit. Nah.
The question was the origin of country music.
The origin of country music is easy. The whole concept of country music, uh, it's who's in the country? Do you grow cotton in the city? Do you grow tobacco in the city? Indigo in the city? Rice in the city? Do you? So who's in the damn country? Just saying. Country music comes from black people. I don't care who you go to, you're going to always find, no matter who's a country, the greatest country music artist is Elvis. Who did Elvis Presley grow up with? If you ask the Everly Brothers, who taught them to play their guitars? The greatest duo from country music. I'm just saying, where did this come from? Who taught Jerry Lee Lewis how to play piano? Who was he hanging around? Chet Atkins, and we can go on and on and on and on. And have you taken a good look at the queen of country music? Her name is Patsy Cline. Let me share something with you. If I showed you my mother's graduation picture from Dunbar High School in 1960, and I did a slight touch up on it, I could pass my mother off as Patsy Cline. The mother of country music with dark eyes, dark hair, full lips, with the father that nobody knows anything about from Appalachia. She's a Melungeon, a person with African, or the mother of country music. Crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. Right? Right? Put Nobody is better than Patsy. If you take a good look at Patsy, that thick ass black hair she's got, the black hair is a dead giveaway, people. Why does she have jet black hair? I'm just telling you, Patsy Cline looks like my mother. My mom's a black Indian. And so I just want to say to you guys, a huge amount of people all over this country who call themselves one thing or something else. Again, Jerry Lee Lewis, or for that matter, Johnny Cash. Who did Johnny Cash grow up with? His family was sharecroppers in Dyess, Arkansas. Every time you name a legend, they always have some connection to black people. A lot of people don't know. Before Nashville became a big recording center for country music, where was a lot of country music being performed and recorded? Did you know? Guess. I talked to you, Brother Q. Where was a lot of country music taking root and being big?
I wouldn't know.
Try Washington, D.C. Relatively speaking, Washington, D.C., as segregated as it was and is, the main strip for country music was in a black neighborhood called Georgetown, where Patsy Cline and them would record. Not saying that blacks went to the same clubs, but isn't it interesting? You're doing this country music in a black neighborhood. I'm not picking. I'm not trying to be in charge. I'm not trying to take music from anybody. I also want to say to you, when they say it comes from the Scottish Highlands and all that, Do you know what Scottish people are and which Scottish people got put out of England? Just ask Dr. Winters. Did you know that the tartans and the little skirts that the Scottish people wear has an African origin? I'm just saying. So when they say, "Oh well, it didn't come from just black people; it came from the Scotch," well, who were those people? Who who got kicked out of England in the tens of thousands? Who were enslaved and thrown with the black people, the Indian and the African and the in between? They lived together, they sang together, they created a culture together. And by the way, if it came from Ireland and it came from Scotland, how come there's nothing like country music in Scotland and Ireland and England? How come it all happens here and the American South, an area of the country that was at least 40 to 50% black? Who are known for their music in the South primarily? Just asking. Who are the giants? Who's Robert Johnson? Who's Fats Domino? Who's Blind Lemon Jefferson? And we can just go on, and who's what's this dude? Scott Joplin, and we can look at all the trends. Jelly Roll Morton. Everybody's black, and the white people. Country music was created as a category to segregate and market music. There was no such thing. It was everybody's in the damn country. America is largely rural until like the 1930s and 40s as people move into the cities. And by the way, when the music moved into the cities, and let's be honest, just to make certain, because what they did in the record business to punish people is they called it, when it was black, race music. If whites didn't want to get punished, you say country as a way to get airplay that blacks couldn't get. But when did country music really break out? Does anybody know? When did country music really break the fuck out in the American music industry? And it happened approximately 60 years ago, 61 years ago. Who made country music mainstream? Do you know? And don't say Dolly Parton. And don't say, I'm trying to think of this person uh, who sang, "Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? Da 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 da." Okay, come on, what's his name? Hank Williams. Don't say Hank Williams.
They say Hank Williams. I might ban him up the show.
Don't say. So who is responsible for internationalizing country music? Who? And y'all don't know. And to all this country music, everybody's screaming about how it's the biggest thing. Who made country music international? And the fact that no, Ray Charles, Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music, the biggest album of 1962. I Can't Stop Loving You, the biggest song of 1962. Ray Charles's More Sounds in Country and Western Music, another blockbuster album. Million-selling albums. Ray Charles made country and Western music an international phenomenon off the back of him being an R&B star. Because country music was seen as a backward, racist, white thing. And when Ray Charles opened the door for white people, and ask any damn country artist, Ray Charles was the first #1 smash country and Western album. internationally. Number one in England, number one all over the world. Ray Charles was he was the gateway drug to country music. None of your white country artists had the reach of Ray Charles. So Ray Charles is one of the most unappreciated artists who did country, jazz, gospel, soul, funk, R&B, pop. He could do all of it great. Ray Charles made country music big.
One question, another question. Interesting point here. One second. One second. Let's go back. I didn't skip your question, brother. There's Dr. Short Man. 70% of hip hop consumers and fans are white per study. If it is corrupting, why aren't they corrupted?
They are corrupted, but they're covered because they're white. The same way that white folks commit most of the crime, but are underrepresented in prison, are underrepresented in terms of the people the police shoot and kill, are underrepresented the people that are who are profiled, who are stopped across the country. It's not a very bright question. Black folks are targeted. When black people had drug problems, it was criminalized. When white people have a drug problem, now they've got housing, jobs, everything, counseling. You got to have Narcan. If you have a fucking ice cream truck, you have to have Narcan. You have a school, you have a church to help make certain that white junkies survive. When black junkies died, they said, damn it, another good dead nigga. If y'all don't get that you're fucking hated, that people wish we were all dead, if you don't get that through your thick black skull, you shouldn't be on a platform like this.
You guys in the chat, not to minimize what we're saying and get some laughs, right? When I moved to where I live at now and found out that they was giving out Narcan, I couldn't believe it. Like, you could literally go around the corner, get Narcan, keep it in your vehicle.
And it's free.
It's
free.
You try to do that in the inner cities, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
No, they're giving away in the inner cities because now these areas have been gentrified. So to save white addicts and Asian addicts, it's available. We used to see people who overdosed on heroin, you just took them to the morgue. When black addicts died, or you jailed them, you didn't treat it like it's a medical problem, it was criminal. Now that white people are dying, it's medical. And that's a fundamental reason why I don't like Dick Hop. We can't afford to be high and drunk and loose and promiscuous. If you get an STD and you can't afford medical care, if you can't afford it, they're not going to give you the same drugs as someone else. I mean, so why put yourself out there? Why are we thinking that we're going to get help in being degenerate? They already hate you. When you go in with good health, as I will say to you, when I was in the hospital, these people wanted my organs. They wanted to kill me. They'll tell me how sick I am, and yet these people plan to cut me up like a Christmas turkey. If y'all don't get that, and I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest sicknesses of black people is their pathetic denial of how hated we are and how much we hate ourselves and how much we hate God, that we're not white. I don't know two black people that don't wish they were white. They really want it. I don't know two black women don't wish black men were just like white men. We're a betrayer, hater culture, a self-hating, backstabbing, betraying culture. It's despicable. And that's why this filth can be peddled. You're going to tell me about 70% of the people buying it, but what about the 30% of niggas that are buying it? We're still shooting and killing each other. Drive-bys, crimes at an all-time high. Illiteracy at an all-time high. STDs, abandonment, family breakup. All these women want to be studs. All these boys being girls. Shit, we shouldn't listen to 1% of this shit. We're not 30% of the population of this country, so we're overrepresented in the consumption of this trash. Next question.
Any more questions, you guys, in the chat? Ebony, I'm not understanding some of your statements. And I don't know where you be at, sister. I'm really.
Well, all I'm going to say to you is, we treat this stuff like we're Jewish. We pass over shit we don't understand. All right. Any other things? Because we're going to do this again. I want to thank everybody, but I want y'all to like this. I only have a handful of likes. I want people to share this. We're going to be doing more. We're going to keep pushing the envelope. We need people pushing this. I appreciate everyone that supports this. This brother has a Cash App. I got a Patreon, which is Dr. Randy Short, DrRendyShort. My Patreon is Dr. Randy Short. You can bless me through Zelle or PayPal, wrandyshort@gmail, as well as write me directly via email. We will resume this week, if not tomorrow, the Angry Black Men's Book Club. I'm doing a show with brother Juan Johnson, Lone Wolf Firearms. We're going to be talking about niggas and guns later today, or yes, we are, about 5, 6 o'clock, and we'll be talking about why we need guns and sell out betrayer, no good nigga preachers. My favorite subject. I can't stand it, preachers. Damn it. And I'm a Christian. I don't like it. Oh my God.
Someone next. I don't know what Dr. Short. You know what Lenny's article is?
What?
Lenny's article.
Okay, you're talking about Lenny Kravitz?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Lenny's article. CRU royalty.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to say. I think Lenny Kravitz, I don't follow him, but he's a good artist. He does pop music. He went for a white music audience, and he has it. It's sort of like if Candace Owens all of a sudden wanted black people to follow her after running after white people. You have to kind of decide who you want, right? I mean, you don't want to give us none, and now that they don't want you anymore, now you want us to lay down with you. Dude, you've had big albums, but you did not.
Email Dr. Short or myself the Lenny Kravitz article, and we'll go over it when we get a chance.
Yeah, but no, but I know he's complaining that he doesn't get invited to black stuff, but frankly, he's got he's crossover. He got white people. What do you need black people for? It's like you are where most black people like to be, which is to have a large white audience and a black audience that could give or take. You have a huge white audience and you want black people too, but you're not talking to them. Right now, I'm going to just be honest, and I don't say Lenny Kravitz has great music, but Lenny Kravitz could be, but the thing is if Lenny Kravitz, he can't compete with the trash music that's being pushed on black people. He's above the pack, okay? And if he didn't understand the exclusion, gifted artists, like I said, Stevie Wonder can't get no damn hits. He's too good. He can really play and sing. They don't want him. The music that the white corporate executives through Clear Channel and other things give black people, filth, hogwash, silage for the pig, the pig trough. We don't get good music. We get filth, we get doo-doo, we get sludge. Lenny Kravitz can actually play. He can halfway sing. He can dance and not do that stunted quadriplegic bullshit that most of these. So
You didn't tell me you knew about a farm. I ain't heard the word silence the farm days.
This Lenny Kravitz is too good for a lot of our stupid, retarded black music who are so used to trash. They don't know good when they hear it. The other thing is that if Lenny Kravitz in this polarized market tries to cross over, he needs to be saying something that would make him relevant to black people, and that may cost him his white audience. Count your blessings, Lenny. If you've got white record buyers, thank God for it. After all, you're bi-ethnic. You've been blessed by being half Jewish. You're getting paid well. You're not getting screwed like the black acts are. I mean, what are you unhappy about? Damn. I mean, if black people were an afterthought to your career, we've afterthought your artistry. I'm not saying he can't play. I'm not trashing him. I'm not saying he's not an attractive, gifted, talented, charismatic, excellent dancing, singing person. There are a lot of white folks who can sing and dance and shit, but they never really made making music that would lure or attract black people to them. If Hall and Oates' mediocre asses could do it, if Adele's ass could do it, if bitch ass Vanilla Ice could do it, if the average white band could do it, there've been people who've been able to reach black audience. If Elvis Presley could get some R&B hits, why hasn't Lenny Kravitz said, you know what? I'm gonna get me some nigger fans. I'm gonna make an album that Negroes can't put down. I don't think that Lenny Kravitz, because he's afraid that it won't be received. And you may have to make an album or two that people don't receive before people say he's trying to fuck us and I'm gonna fuck him back. I'm gonna pick this shit up. So Lenny Kravitz's career trajectory has decidedly been one to be race neutral and to be a pop artist, to be a rock star. The optics. Now think about it. Compare him to Maxwell, or Terrence Trent D'Arby, or other people. When you see all the dreads and all that kind of shit, do you know of any black singer crooners that are trying to not be in the hip hop form that look like him? Do you? So I mean, what's this guy Eric Benet? He's got kind of like the Eric Benet mix. That do you haven't put stuff out there to basically turn on and eroticize your black female record buyer. And as for black men, we're not interested in white men rock music. We tend to ignore that shit. So he's displaced himself doubly. And that's hard to do. As a light skinned dude with long hair, you can't get a black female audience. Um, am I lying? I mean, how did you fuck that up? These sisters eat out your hand, light colored eyes and shit. I mean, damn, you light skinned too? I mean, how do you bomb? How do you not get that? It's because you didn't try to push it. I mean, look, we haven't had any big light skinned people since El DeBarge and shit. I mean, light skinned dudes do well with the sisters. Why haven't you tried it? You haven't decided to be either a crooner or solar. You've tried to be none of the above, and as a result, folks didn't pick you. You haven't picked us. Okay, what's his name? Fake ass, nasty ass, grifter ass, Eric Bolton, Michael Bolton. Even his ass had some little black women that all wanted to fuck white men from watching the stories and soaps and shit. Even he got a black female following. And I think that Kravitz is way. I can't stand Michael Bolton. Fuck Michael Bolton. Okay. How could he do worse than Bolton with black women? Are you understanding me? Are you hearing me, Brother Q? Am I lying, sisters? Eric Bolton had sisters more moist than the Niagara Falls. His old racist ass stealing from the Isley Brothers. This dude, if he could do a blues album. He could do some real down home black shit. and say, I'm gonna fuck y'all, I'm gonna get y'all, I'm gonna make y'all give me your audiophile pussy. And I'm gonna bring my biracial ass because y'all know y'all want kids that look like me. And he would hit. I guess because he's mixed, he's never really had to understand black people. A lot of folks, they take after the high status person, which is the white person. And black is something that, yawn, well, I got that too. That's his fucking fault. And I said he's good. I'm not saying this, I think he's a great artist, all of that. But you haven't said I'm going to fuck the ears and the brains and the musical palate of black people. What you said is come over and listen to my hard rock and shit. Remember that group called Bad Brains? We've had Mother's Finest. We've had black folks that rocked, and they never ever broke out big with black people because black folks don't like a certain type of rock we associated with white people. Stop doing mixed white boy shit and do some block boy, new jack swing, soul type shit. And the fact that you can play, do some new renditions of old songs, and that motherfucker would be in play. You need a new musical director. Obviously, you don't know what you need to do to talk to black people, and you've taken black sensibilities for granted because you've got melanated skin that you can get a following. Millie Vanilli's ass didn't succeed that long, and they prettier than you. They got busted and turned out. Are you ready to go? I know it's, oh my God, it's 2 in the morning.
One of the
And,
questions
and, and,
somebody asked,
and,
yes.
and I bet you your wife is crushing up some Viagra right now, making a smoothie for you. Okay.
Somebody asked, did you ever read Professor Griff's book, The
No.
Covert War on Hip Hop?
No, but I mean, there's an overt war on black people. But here's the issue for me. Uh, oh my God. Mark Smith, thank you. He said that Lenny Kravitz is a non FBA because, his father's a Jew. And I didn't know Roxy Boker was a non FBA. So he's doubly displaced. So him beefing, I mean, now I get it. You never really, were trying to like hook up with us. So
Code, I know you mentioned Hootie and the Blowfish in the comments. Let's be honest, you guys. If you follow Darius Rucker is a hell of a country singer. Dax is a hell of a country singer. It is a lot. If you're into country music, it is a lot of black country. The number one selling country artist right now is black. So if you like country music, you would know what I'm talking about. The number one selling country musician male right now is a black person, an FBA person. So that's
yeah, country music is ours. But so, like I said, dude, he's tone deaf. You don't really know black American culture. It's the same way that there are very few Caribbeans that really, really, they never get us because you're not connected to us spiritually, psychologically by choice. You may get a hit now and then. What's this broad? Lauren Hill. Okay, one album which did really well. Bitch hasn't had a hit since. Seal. You get them and they kind of do okay. Musical Youth, they got a hit. They're novelties. Their music's okay. It's just not as good as ours. We don't like listening to it. It's not something that you go party to. They don't make good dance music.
I got a question. I got a question from me in reference to music, and maybe we can answer this again. No, mom, before we close out. I don't like to use the word chitlin circuit, right? But when we weren't as mainstream, so to say, and we were going from, as they say, barnstorming, they call that baseball, but barnstorming, going from city to city in the black cities with our musicians. Were we better off dead now than trying to be mainstream?
We are the goddamn mainstream. We've actually become the trash stream letting people hijack us and tell us who we are. Like saying, y'all, you nothing but an African. Africa's a continent. You won't even tell me what kind of fucking African I am. And I've met people, I'm an African. Well, what kind? It's a big ass place. You're Zulu, you're Kosa, you're Pondo, you're Swazi, Swahili, Hausa, right? I mean, let's be specific. You know, we're pretty lazy as a people in terms of not trying to know who we are. I mean, like I said, I meet people all the time that don't know their grandparents' names or the town. Oh, they're from South Carolina. You never took the time to know where your fucking family's from, but you go to Africa? I mean, why are we so we're so ashamed of who we've been told we are, we don't really know who the hell we are. Like I said, I keep going back, and there's some slaves in my family of which I'm proud. But there are a lot of people that were Indians that weren't slaves. I didn't know. I just assumed everybody was getting their ass beat. I accepted that every slave ship and shit. I received it. Okay, we're all on a slave ship. I'm black and proud solidarity. We all came from Africa. I I believe that shit. I accepted it. But like I said, I kept having experiences. This is this isn't working. I'm trying to put everybody on the fucking boat, chain everyone up, and that's riding in our shit from Africa here, and everybody's not in the fucking boat. Some were, some weren't. I'm not mad at the African people, but why do I have to throw the Moors away? Why do I have to throw the indigenous Aboriginal people away to please some Pan African liar that doesn't want to live in Africa, who's rejected his own ancestors and the God of theirs that was in the King James Bible? Yes, I said it, niggas, Jesus. Why should I play that game? I'm not going to do it. I don't care what nobody say. Are you understanding me? So in reality, you know, we need to know who the hell we are. We don't. We keep, what's a song, Patti LaBelle? I've been looking around and you were here all the time. You're looking for an identity everywhere, and you have one here, a musical identity, a cultural identity. I mean, stuff that's thousands of years old in this country. If you dare look, if you dare look, there are people all over the place that will tell you, I've been hearing about the Indians and so forth in my family for 50 plus years. For some of y'all, that's new. If you just talk to old people, excuse me, grandma, why is your hair straight and black? And why can't this other person get a fucking steamroller through their hair? Well, son, I'm a Cherokee. My hair is kind of, but it's not, right? Why the bitch at the beauty parlor putting so much lye to make my mother's hair fall out because she's jealous of the kind of hair my mother had? Why they burn up people's hair? The sisters that were more African burnt up the people who were more Indian hair because they were jealous. The same way sisters hate Dominicans over how they know how to do hair. What is all this going on because of our diversity? We should take the time to know who the hell we are. And we also need to understand we are the most advanced black community in the world. Don't let the Nigerians or other people fool you. When the Nigerians are lightening their skin and all that, they're trying to look like us. We're the only people that hate who we are so much. Everybody's imitating us, and we don't want to be us. We want to be people who want to be us. When we accept ourselves, we're going to be more powerful. Our greatest weakness is we hate God, we hate one another, we hate the idea of being together, we hate self respect, we hate investing in each other, we hate everything we should love and love everything we should hate. That's why we hate the good soul music and we love this shit that's being made that they call music. All the shit sounds the same. It's despicable. At least you used to be able to say that's a Chicago record, that's a New York record, that's an LA record, that's a New Orleans record, that's a Florida Miami disco record, that's a Philadelphia International record. That's a record from Detroit. Now all the shit's crap, no matter where it comes from. We need to find ourselves, and in particular, every people have a God. We're the only ones who don't want the one our ancestors had. All these niggas talk about ancestors. What were your fucking ancestors into? And it wasn't into ox and this bullshit and this witchcraft these dumb fuck people, tarot card reading motherfuckers are into now. So part of why, in fact, our music used to be good when Negroes intro to music was spiritual in the damn churches, doo-wop and everything. And the minute Negroes decided they didn't need God, our music is dead. It's death. It's stinky. It's foul. It's degenerate. It's bankrupt. And that's why you've got Koreans and everybody else imitating niggas that learned music in church that went into popular music. Everybody, they're replacing it. They're going to get rid of Diddy. In fact, they're going to destroy all the hip hop. They're going to take their money. They're going to destroy all this music, and they're going to put it in vaults. And maybe 20 years from now, there'll be a revival for all this trash hip hop when people are old and shit, and they're going to sell box sets, whatever the fuck they have out 20 years from now. And they're going to let all the people, the Latinos and everybody else, do versions of black music. And because they're not as smart, they're going to rip them off and steal from them the same way they did from us. And by the time they get smart, they'll find another group of people to addict, use, fuck over, and make trash music to tear them down. The same way Latinos get diabetes and they're getting them to abort babies and they're trying to turn them out as gay. It is a process of destroying people, ethnocide, to bad music. You know, we can check out now. We can do this again. I want y'all to subscribe to the channels. And yes, we're going to bring books. We've got interviews. Thanksgiving had everything crazy for a minute. I want to thank everybody for listening, and we could do this again. And fuck Shitty and all the other people and Rihanna, that bitch, non-singing bitch. I've never listened to her. I can't stand her. Whitney Houston on crack outsings all these hoes except for Jennifer Hudson. Um, Stevie Wonder in his 70s can outsing almost everybody, outplay. Michael Jackson can outdance everybody, even fucked up Chris Brown that needs to stop hanging around gangbangers. Are you going to be a star or an asshole that's getting raped in prison? You really need to make up your mind before some shit happens to you. Yes, I said that. Um, let's sign off. I mean, I don't want your wife to walk out on you. I can hear her with your NutriBullet grinding up the Viagra, and
You guys make sure that you like the show, share, and subscribe. Got a bunch of stuff coming up this week.
yes, and we do stupid shows. We know folks get tired of lots of heavy duty stuff, so we decide every now and then we're going to do a dumb fuck show, so y'all can feel at home. We won't give a whole bunch of facts and figures. No, with Brother Baguettes, no, he's part of the problem. He probably likes hip hop. You know, in fact, he probably liked to screw Dirty Red. That's probably his baby. Anyway, we're going to check out here. We will be doing more. And so we're going to be doing something with Brother Juan and so forth. We're going to keep doing this. And pretty soon, Sister Black Rose will be doing it with my female co host. Yes, I can't wait to work with the YC, to have a real person with a real woman with a real vagina, not a cosmetic one, but she was born with her own frenulum. Okay. Did you hear about the people that are now, there's a big run on tomato paste? All these gay folks are buying frozen tomato paste so they can fake like they're having periods. Damn.
With that, remember, like, share, subscribe. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Y'all stay white, people. Good night, everybody. You know how to support. Share this. We're going to keep raising hell. See y'all.